the night before I'll wake up to go to the bathroom and I'll have like this really intense, quick thought about we're going to get an accident if we go on this thing.
Oh, wow.
What is up, everybody? And welcome back to the Schooling Struggle Podcast. It is our belief that the only guarantee in life is that we are all going to struggle. And how we choose to embrace our struggles is what empowers us to become the best versions of ourselves. How's it going? My name is Pete, coming to you from Vermont, and with me is my friend and co-host Todd, coming to you from Tacoma, Washington. What's up, Todd?
That was a long Todd intro. Not much, Pete. How you doing?
I'm great because tonight's episode is my favorite format of the ones that we do. I really love interviewing guests, and I really love some of the different series we have going on right now. But there's nothing better for me than just a good old-fashioned 5x5. And that's where you and I get to chew on 5 questions for approximately 5 minutes, and I get to pick your brain about a bunch of different topics and ideas. And these 5 questions that we're going to go through tonight are ones from my brain. Often I get them from different people in my orbit, whether it's students or friends or colleagues, and these are just 5 that I'm curious to hear your responses to. So for those that might be new to the show, a 5x5 for us is exactly what I just stated. We'll go through 5 different questions, and we'll each give our responses to that question, and we'll each take approximately 2.5 minutes. Sometimes we go off on long tangents, and we completely break the 5-minute rule, but we try to keep it close so that we can get through all 5 questions in a single episode. Anything from your end that you want to share before we get into number 1, Mr. Ellis?
No, not really, Mr. Did you see me messing with my camera settings? I was driving me nuts how dark that thing was, and now I'm not as dark. No, I don't have anything.
You were changing your filters. As much as it was driving you nuts, it was driving me twice as nuts, so I just stopped looking.
Sorry.
But I think you look good no matter what filter you have.
The beard's a little long. For those who can't see the video, Peter has done a twice yearly. What do you call it?
Yeah, biannual
mowing of his hairdo. So he's got that's a number 2, isn't it? Maybe number 1.
It's a number. It's a number 0. I told him. I said bring it all the way down. He said, "Do you want any clips?" I said, "Yeah, the first clip. That's a number 1, right?" He goes, "No, that's a 0." I go, "No, a 0 is no clip at all." He goes, "No. The first clip is the 0, and the second clip is the number 1. So I have a number 0 clip.
Okay. Well, There we are. We're zeroed in. No, I don't have anything, but I'm brighter now. So let's go.
All right. So after I read the question, Todd, I'm going to ask that you either go first or pass it off to me to go first. Either one is good.
Okay.
Here we go. 5x5. First question is not a question. It's a statement that I'd love for you to finish. And here's the statement. It is my belief that if everyone on planet Earth were to do this every day, our society would be a much healthier and happier place.
I actually have multiple answers. I'm going to wow you this time because I don't usually do a pre-homework, and this time I was feeling pupilish, and I decided to spend an hour and go through these. So I think we've talked about this one before, actually, or maybe my answer is similar. So I'm going to defer to you, and then I'll circle back.
All right. So here's my here's my response to that statement. I think if everybody did this every day, the world would be a happier and healthier place. Get a 32-ounce water bottle. Fill it up to the top with water. Nothing else, just water. Seek out a person or persons. Go for a 30-minute walk in the company of that person or persons. Finish your 30-minute walk, 15 minutes of either stretching or yoga. Following the stretching or yoga, 5 to 10 minutes of breath work and mindfulness, and then carry on with your day. And here's why. I think that as a society, we are underhydrated. I think we lack connection. So walking, doing something physical with another person is connecting us to other people. We are physically moving in a low impact format that can be good for our body regardless of our health, wellness, fitness levels. We are outside The research shows that connecting, I don't know why we need research to show this, but when we connect with nature, we are happier, healthier human beings. We spend time during that session to be with ourselves through the mindfulness breathwork practice, and it gives us a chance to calm ourselves down. So to me, it has all of the elements of the 5 pillars of health, except I didn't mention sleep. So you'd have to get a really good night's sleep before and after.
Oh, and after, I like it.
Yep. And when you do it in the day would be entirely up to you and your people that you get together with, whether it's friends or family, colleagues, whoever that is. For some people, that would be more beneficial practice in the evening. For some, it would be more beneficial in the morning. For some, midday, depending on where you optimize and how you optimize. So that is my response.
Would you go for more than once a day? Do you think that would augment? Would it amplify?
So my wife and I have a term called realistically ideal. There's ideal, which is like the castle in the sky. And then there's realistically ideal, like given the reality of our lives, this is actually possible.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The castle in the sky would involve a lot of other things with Whole Foods and private chefs and
I see what you mean.
And
levels
saunas.
of
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe a chiropractor.
I'd go with a masseuse over a chiropractor.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, and kind of all kidding aside, if we were to make time for a movement piece, a nutrition or hydration piece, a meditative piece to be with ourselves, breath work to center ourselves, time outside, and the ability to connect with others, I think that would be a tremendously positively impactful endeavor that would enhance the quality of the majority of people's lives.
Interesting. You want to hear mine?
Yeah, bro. That's why I brought you on this podcast.
Okay. So my belief is that if everyone did X every day, our society would be a happier place. I also have multiple answers, and they don't directly speak to the 5 pillars of health. However, they kind of overarch it looking at them in review. So I believe that if everybody was to review their dependencies on technology, that we could be a much different society. How about that?
What do you mean by review our dependencies on technology?
At any given time in the day, be aware of how technology is influencing either your decisions in real time or has influenced your decisions within the last hour, and then take count of that, and then go, just put some thought into that. Like, what does it really mean, right?
And you're referring to all technologies, like
any kind.
I have a Vitamix, and we just made smoothies.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, but I think my underlying intent there was the ones that grab our attention in a predominantly negative way. How about that?
Okay.
Or can be seen in a negative way by the masses. Things like cell phones and all these other things. Number 2 would be to be kind to each other. I think that is very important, and or to do one act of kindness per day. So no matter where that is, and it kind of goes like you were saying, like find your buddy and let's go for a walk. I mean, that could be seen as an act of kindness, but and also today is International Kindness Day, maybe something like that.
Oh, cool.
But I do agree with the once you said them, I mean, those are the mindfulness and the nutrition. Like those things are all more easily, I shouldn't say easily attainable, but I don't know what I was going to say about that. But I think they're all like on par for making our society better.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with those things, definitely from a macro standpoint. And I think from a micro standpoint, if we were to have better nutrition, have better sleep, have better connections, these things, we are more apt to be in a place where we have the capacity to be kind to others.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. Number 1 of the 5x5.
Number 2. This actually is a question.
Oh.
Todd, what is something that you have learned recently?
Well,
I feel like I could ask you this. I feel like I could ask you this question every day and get a fresh response 365 days a year, because you're constantly sharing with me via text and other modes of all the things that you're learning, and it's so insightful for me.
Maybe sometimes I have a little lulls of my learning, but yeah, I think that's accurate for the most part. I try to do something new every day.
But then you share with me how you learned about your lull of learning and how you
This is true. So
and
yes, it's going to be nerdy. It's in the tech field, but it's called Power Automate. So that's Microsoft's platform for low code or no code interface. So let's say that Peter Driscoll doesn't know anything about coding. You can go to this platform
we don't
and
have to, let's just say
yeah,
that. That is
right.
the
We don't have to
truth.
pretend. And you could go to this platform and drag and drop things that allow you to automate or mechanize processes within a computer that then get you at a result, whatever it is that you hope to endeavor to do. Right. So I think those things are pretty cool. But there was something Microsoft they do every year. It's called the Ability Summit, and there is a plethora of AI integrated tools coming that is known as Copilot, which will help you do almost anything you ever do in the world of, like in your realm, open Excel, create a PowerPoint, like all these different things. You just tell it what you want to do in chat. It will create the framework for you. And then you say, go get information from, my OneDrive on notes I took last week. And it'll just start porting things into and creating these artifacts for you.
Huh.
Automatically. Very bizarre, but I've been looking at the no code, low code things. Another thing, a new thing I've noticed that people, an addendum to that, people suddenly with the revelation of AI, how it's coming out with ChatGPT, we were talking about this earlier, and there's different platforms of that type. I'm finding that people who aren't steeped in technological circles, if this is my opinion, people are blindly open to adopting what AI responds with as the truth because it comes from, I searched in the web and now it's like, it must be true. And I think that is ridiculously scary, but over time that will either be our an educational platform for us to learn more, or it will be our downfall, maybe both. I don't know. And then third is LTL shipping costs, freight. So I have to ship something from New York to my house, and it costs $500 for the item, and it's going to cost almost triple that to ship it here on a truck that's not dedicated to shipping my thing. And I thought, that's very strange in this time and era where we have Amazon shipping things for free almost everywhere, and we can just take things back and it's free. To
Yeah.
put something on a truck costs ridiculous amounts of money.
How big is the thing and what does it weigh?
It is 50 pounds. It is 121 inches long, 8 inches wide, and 8 inches. So 8 by 8 by 121.
50 pounds, 50
50.
pounds.
Mm-hmm. And to get that on a truck costs almost $1,500 to bring to my house.
Wow.
And the item itself costs like $400. And I'm like, what? Like, how can that be?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
Huh.
those are new things I've been learning.
That's crazy. I'm not going to take a super long time with this, but in response to what you just shared, when you were talking about the coding and the AI and all these things, I was like, well, how would that impact my life in any capacity? I was just trying to relate to it.
Mm-hmm. And
then you started talking about I'm actually a presentation, and I'm actually presenting in 2 days from now at a PE conference. And I sat down for an hour today and typed out an outline of what it is that I'm going to be sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And something like that would be a very useful tool.
Yep.
Yeah. That's interesting.
It's going to change the world.
What I was going to share was, as part of that, I wanted to look up to see how many K-12 schools there were in the United States and in the world. And the first search that I did said there was approximately 132,000 K-12 schools in the U.S. and 3 million K-12 schools throughout the world. But I have absolutely no clue how accurate or inaccurate that number is. But for my presentation, I'm going to use those numbers because that's what Google told me.
Nice.
Right.
Nice.
So I'm just taking it as face value because that's what the internet said.
Yeah.
So it's really in line with what you shared.
Yeah. Well, when we're done, we could double check that against Bing and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, interesting. So for that question, something that I've learned recently, before I came downstairs right now, I shared this with my wife to practice because I was so scared that I was going to botch this. And I still think I'm going to botch it. So anyone who's listening, please have some compassion with me if I'm a little off with this, with what I'm about to share.
I can't even wait to hear it.
So I meant to bring the guy's name down, but an evolutionist or a biologist had a theory, and it never even crossed my mind to think about this. So this is what I've learned in the last week. There is a theory that the way their continents are shaped have had a massive impact on the population growth of our world. And continents that run lengthwise north-south, such as the Americas and Africa, are different in their population growth over the history of continents that run east-west with their width and aren't as long in the north to south. So that being Asia, Europe, and the Mideast.
Mhm.
And the theory is that we as humans, when given two choices, will always choose the easier option, the one that offers the least amount of struggle. And what the book was saying was throughout the history of agriculture, it's much easier to expand your agricultural production traveling east west along the same latitude, because when you travel north south, the climate change has a major factor in your inability to grow more crops.
Mm-hmm.
And the example they give is you can't use the same agricultural practices to grow Florida oranges as you can in Canada. Snow doesn't make good soil. So to expand agriculture meant more food, and more food meant quicker expansion of the population. And with expanded population, these other things come into result. I'm not really going to go into that, but I thought it was fascinating to think that the population growth, many centuries ago throughout Asia and Europe had to do with the fact that it was much easier to expand agriculture east west because you can use the same seed, the same climate, and you don't have to do as much work to continue to grow crops because you already know, and what you know works as long as you travel along the same latitude.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start to go north to south, it's much more difficult to learn new agricultural practices, and it slows the food production, which slows the population growth. I thought that was incredibly fascinating.
That is pretty interesting. Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's something that I've learned recently.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, I forgot to tell you, LTL freight is an acronym for less than a truckload.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
This is completely off topic, but
surprise.
I've always wondered why you transport cargo on a ship and shipments in a truck.
Ain't no telling what happens when they go from port. When they go from the port, does it change?
I don't know.
Interesting.
All right, 5x5, number 3. What is one struggle in your life that you are currently navigating?
Oh, you said one.
Oh, no. Okay, you can share more than one. I'm good with that.
Do you want me to go? Or you want to go? This
You
one's
go.
lengthy. Deep.
Why don't you share one, then I'll share mine, and then we
Mine all go. Mine all cascade. So that's not going to work.
cascade away. Drop it on me.
Okay. The current struggle that I am currently having again, and it's reciprocal in my life, is battling with addiction of alcohol. It's terrible. And interestingly enough, this time, in this point of my life, and I would never say it was really like a battle. It becomes an awareness that I'm doing it too much. And then I'm like, okay, reel that back in again. And we've talked about that. Turn the switch on. Here we go. Or turn it off, however you want to look at it. And then it's either one way, black or white, right? This time is different because of a couple indicators. One is my age. And so I've talked to people who are of my age or a little bit older, and I've hinted about, oh, well, here's what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, like a year ago, I just quit drinking. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And they're like, it just was the time of my life where it was like, I don't like, it's no longer what it used to be. And they no longer get what they used to think they got out of it. And I was like, well, that's weird. And so a couple weeks ago, Jocelyn, my wife, was talking about she drank too much one night, and she's like, she woke up in the morning, she's like, I might just quit drinking. And I was like, you don't say, because I've been hearing this a lot. And so now I'm just like building this construct in my mind about how it's different about, like I can see it in myself, but now it's interesting to have a partner, like a true partner, my spouse, who's also investigating the same exact thing. And it wasn't like we both thought of it at the same time. It just happened to coincide. And then now that if I'm able to look back at it, I can begin to see more of the habit or the triggering effect of it. So what my mind went when I was doing this homework was kind of like the uncertainty of times leads me into this pasture, but then it's like the longer I sit there, the more I realize the inaction is not helping anything. So when I thought about it, I thought at the beginning of COVID, kind of everything fell apart, like the normalcy that we knew. Suddenly everybody, at least in my industry, they're having virtual happy hours and everybody's just drinking beer on the screen. And it's just like, what are we doing? And then after a while, you're like, okay, we can't keep that up because that's crazy. And because we didn't do that before. But now it's like having that combined with like the distractions that are around us, and then having that paired or amplified with somebody else's intent to change, I think is going to help me like finally push the envelope of pretty soon I'm not going to do that. So now I've started making assertions to people like, this is very interesting because like Rylan, my middle son, and Dennis, his buddy, the guys that went on the fishing trip from our last episode, I've noticed that because they're of that age where, like drinking is the cool thing to do. Now I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And so when I step back from it, I look at it, I'm like, I'm not helping you instill like great boundaries or awareness around this thing. I'm just like, game on, you guys are finally here. That's not healthy, right? And so it's like everything that gets in the way, I'm just like, wow, I could do better if I just didn't. I could do better if I didn't. So I'm excited that if it does or if it doesn't, I don't have an expectation, but I'm excited for the newness of this time's shift and where I think that might lead. So it's interesting. But then I'm like, oh, well, St. Patty's Day, there went that. And then I'm like, going to Mexico. Shoot, maybe after that. And so
Right.
now I've kind of put a stick in the sand. Ian, our youngest son, moves away to Iowa March 30th. So we're going to have a party for him. And then in my mind, before all of this came to light with Jocelyn and everything, I told myself, I'll continue drinking. I don't know if it'll be at the pace which I do now, but until at least he's 21, or like he has his 21 run. And then I can just be like, I saw you all through that thing and now I can just be done. So May 19th of next year will be the official quit date. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's my current struggle.
Thank you for sharing. I think what I heard you say was that you're going to drink until your son turns 21 when he's legally able to drink, and then you're going to stop.
Yeah, that's the current plan.
Okay. Yeah. Almost like you're passing it off to him.
But for like, well, no, because you can see it that way easily, but I think it's because like all of the other kids, like we've just gone out and party because it was like their rite of passage. And if I stop before he does, he's the youngest one anyway. So he's gonna be like, well, what the hell is that? Like you can't stop before I get there. So like that was the intent behind that. But I mean, it may come sooner or whatever, but yeah, there it is. Cool. See, a little homework goes a long ways in these answers.
That's amazing. Yes. What Todd keeps referencing, for those that might not know, is that I'll often share with him prior to the episode what the episode is about, and then we'll go to log on and be like, yeah, I didn't even read that or think about it. Like, let's just go. So then I just stopped sending him prior information to the episodes altogether. That seemed to go well. But I sent it to him early this time, and he prepared, which is awesome.
Here we are.
Yeah, the alcoholism runs so thick throughout the Driscoll family. Yeah. It's my grandfather owned a bar, and that's right. According to my dad, the bar never closed because it was in a part of town that had shift work, and it was just every 8 hours there was a new group of dudes getting out of work to go to the bar. So that's just one small example, but yeah, it's a very, very prevalent thing in my family. So something that I am struggling with and trying to navigate is there's a ton of things that I can choose from here, but one of them that I'm choosing this one because I'm finding myself on my free time catching myself thinking about it. Oh, we've had a bunch of snow recently, and I was out shoveling, and I found myself thinking about it the entire time I was shoveling. And I went for a car ride down to Massachusetts to see some buddies the other day, and I found myself thinking about it there. So it might not be the most intense or the biggest struggle that I'm navigating right now, but it's the one that seems to keep popping up in my mind. Mm-hmm. And that is the fact that amongst my students who I love dearly, there are some pretty pissed off human beings right now. And the way that a lot of them deal with it is by fighting fire with fire. And it's really difficult to witness. And oftentimes it is, on social media, high school students are pissed off with each other and they never escape it because it's just back and forth, never put the phone down all through the night. And they just come into school so ramped up. I'm just so grateful that I grew up pre-internet because, like, if you had a beef with someone, you dealt with it in person, and then you went to your house, they went to their house, and things kind of settled for the next 12 hours. That doesn't seem to happen anymore, and I'm just trying to educate my students that if you throw fire on the flames aren't going to get smaller. And I think oftentimes at this juncture in the winter up here in Vermont, people have been cooped up. People have not had any vitamin D through the sun. There's some seasonal affective stuff going on. There's depression and these things happening. And I just feel like in my orbit, there's a lot of really, really pissed off people right now, and just trying to help them and navigate them help them navigate through it is a challenge of mine. So yeah, it's just so easy as a technology immigrant who was not raised with the internet to just say, well, just don't do it. Like, I don't understand how you have to share with the world every time you're pissed off. Like, how does that serve you? And I just have a hard time understanding, connecting with that. And I'm trying to have compassion toward that.
So the struggle is the understanding or like the comprehension piece of like, how can you keep yourself in that circle that long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being empathetic in a way that is supportive and helpful is a challenge for me right now.
Yeah.
And the other one's just an ego thing. It's just my own thing, but I've spent the last year preparing for this CrossFit season, and I did fairly well in the first stage of the competition, which is called the CrossFit Open. Thanks. And I was good enough to make it inside the top 10% in the world in my age division, and that moves on to the next piece, which is 4 workouts over a weekend, otherwise known as a quarterfinals. And my ability wouldn't really allow me to go beyond that, but I was really excited to perform those fitness tests to kind of see where I land in the world. And I had a small tweak of the back recently that has not really gotten any better. And I'm fighting with the decision to do I go forward with these 4 tests, or do I just let them go and really heal myself? And I'm actually totally at peace with whatever happens. If my back feels on competition day the way it does right now, I certainly won't do it. My former self would say the stronger person would persevere through the pain and do the thing anyway. And now I've come around to the stronger person says no to doing the dumb thing.
What's led you to that?
Thing being possibly injure myself. Just a plethora of nagging injuries over the last 4 years, and what that does to my mental health when I'm injured. I just have a hard time dealing with it sometimes. So the pain itself is negligible. It's no big deal, but I just run the risk of re-injuring myself.
Wow.
And I'm getting on a plane to Morocco 3 days after the competition, and I don't want to injure myself. A, prior to sitting on a plane for 8 hours.
Yeah.
With a bad back. And B, just it having a negative impact on the trip that I'm going on.
Huh. An observation, if I may, because when I first met you, over my dead body, you're going to beat me at anything. And now that's interesting to see you do that. But when you, in contrast to the conversation, to the struggle that you were stating with the students and like watching that happen, maybe there's a line or a thread you can pull between that as an example of here's how that manifests for me, and here's how I can get out of that by using awareness to see it. Right, it's not that big of a deal. Like when you go home and you thrash on this thing all night, it's not that big of a deal. Like the sun's going to come up in the morning.
Yeah,
so, yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So, the ego thing is seeing kind of where I land in the leaderboard, and just curiosity, just curious to know where I am in the world with my fitness.
Yeah.
Because it's something I trained for a while, but to have the 29,000 foot view is not always easy for me. And I'm striving to have that. And I'm really proud of myself for just being calm through it, not getting worked up, and just taking it as I go.
That's cool. Is there going to be like if it's deadlifts, I'm not doing these. I'm not doing the back's just going to heal. Like, is there a line?
Yeah, I've had every thought in the world about it. I looked at last year's set of tests, and they weren't super heavy, and you can choose the order in which you do them. So I thought, if there's 2 light ones and 2 heavy ones, if I do the 2 light ones and see how I feel, and then do the third one and see how I feel. But then another piece of me is like, just save the $50 and just perform these tests when I'm healthy, and just compare myself to see where I would have ended up, even though it's not officially on the leaderboard. So I don't know, but I'm cool with whatever comes of it.
Yeah, it's wholesale, right? It's all for or don't pay. I mean, it's pretty much how it goes. Well, I mean, you can still pay and do 3, but what's the point, right? Nice work.
Yeah. Thanks.
Good job.
All right, number 4.
Yeah, let me ask you the question, Peter. Okay. What scares you?
So the quick response for me is losing my wife or my daughter.
Ooh, yeah.
That scares the crap out of me. I feel like I could have enough strength to navigate pretty much any other setback in my life except for that one.
Interesting.
So that's the quick answer. The other thing that scares me is what I feel is a lack of connection in our society. And I feel like the lack of connection is revealing itself through things like school shootings and all these angry people doing things to other people in unhealthy ways. And something that scares me for the future and for my daughter's world that she's going to be an adult in is the lack of human connection and what that's going to yield as far as people's behaviors toward one another.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating in this new class I'm teaching, Better Than Yesterday. The kids say to me they just want more friends and to feel more connected with other kids in their class. but they are so resistant to talking to kids they don't know. So I've introduced healthy snacks in the class. We got a grant, and I can bring fruit into the class every day. And I've asked kids to prepare the fruit just so they can learn skills of, this is how I use an apple slicer, and this is how I put cinnamon or peanut butter on the apple. So at the end of the semester, they have learned how to make a plethora of healthy snacks for themselves if they choose to do that. And I have kids that say, I just want to interact with the other kids in the class. And I say, great. What day do you want to do fruit? They're like, no, I don't want to do fruit. I'm like,
No, 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 no.
I say, are you uncomfortable like cutting it or preparing it? And they're like, no, I'm fine with that. I just don't want to walk around the room and offer it to other kids. So it's just really fascinating that they just want to feel connected, but they don't. So I was talking to my colleagues about it, and they're just like, in that book that I'm reading, Atomic Habits, talks about the only way we get better at anything is repetitions. It's not minutes or time that we're doing something. It's how many repetitions. And growing up, if I wanted a hamburger from McDonald's, there was only one way to get it. And that was to go into McDonald's and order a hamburger with a clerk that was working at the desk. And now you can order a hamburger at McDonald's without ever having human connection. You can book a trip without talking to anyone. Whereas my mom, you would have to call the travel agent. And so we had all these repetitions of human interaction growing up, and those are just less and less. And I think that there's going to be catastrophic consequences for it down the line. I think we're already seeing it, and that scares me.
That's interesting. I think about that all the time. Going back to the first one, like you got to review what you're doing with technology. And I think that I'm not saying that that's the cause of it, but it definitely has enabled people to be further detached than ever before. I was running the other day on Sunday, and I remember running by near my old neighborhood where I grew up, and I was thinking to myself how strange it was, because like if you needed something from some neighbor, you had to go over and ask for it, or do you want me to mow your lawn because I need money to do this thing in the summer? But you had to have those interactions, or else you didn't get what you needed. And like you said, now it's like, oh, I got the McDonald's app, like no big deal. I just swoop on in there, or even worse, somebody delivers it to me. Like it's become a land of just like catered comfort. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's weird.
I was going to say, growing up, my neighborhood was fairly large, 100 plus houses. And I mean, we knew the large majority of people that lived in those houses, and definitely all the ones that were within a 20 house distance from ours. And I was talking to my buddy the other day. He's lived in Florida for a long, however many years, a decade now. And he's like, I don't know my next door neighbor.
Yeah.
I don't know my next door neighbor. And to me, that's just scary.
But it's so easy not to. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. Yep. I mean,
it's just, we don't need them for our day-to-day function.
Yeah. Yeah. People, like the newspaper, the kid that delivers newspaper, if there even is newspaper, he definitely ain't collecting door to door like he used to. He'd be like, man, I don't want to walk up there and ask these people for money because it's awkward. But it's really weird. Yep. We lose a lot of that. What scares me? I've had a lot of time to reflect on the death of my dad and the failing of my mom. And I think it's weird. What scares me is I have written down here that leaving things undone to simplify my own navigation or passing. But in contrast to that, hoping to shine light on the lived education and lessons that exist within the same process and conundrums. So like you can't know it without going through it, but I would so like to offset it for all the people so they don't have to experience it, which is kind of strangely like we were just talking about. Like you have to get into it, but how can I make it, or can I? How can I make it the easiest thing to traverse, right? With like, be careful, there's a hole over there, but here's what I do to get around that hole. Because I feel like a lot of the time that we spend contemplating our own death or like preparing for it, even for as long as people have been dying, it occurred to me the other day how odd it is that nobody ever gets it right. And it's like, oh, here's the things you need to do. Go check the boxes and you'll just be ready to go. That never really happens because there's so many variables, right? But yeah, so that's one of them. And then kind of like what you were saying is, this whole thing with Mexico has really freaked my wife out because there's like all this, don't travel there.
Can you just give a little background? So
so
we have some context.
Yeah. So we have, she and I have only ever been to London, and that was like with a large group of people on, so outside of the United States where we live. We've only gone outside of the United States afar. Only one time. Canada, it's our friend to the north, so we go there for soccer and stuff, but not like way up. Anyway, so out of the blue, I was like, look, I need to get over this fear myself because I hate the idea of going somewhere and like creating a story in my head where I'm going to get stuck and left on a beach or end up in a bathtub, or like I lost my passport, there's no way back, right? And it just spurs this anxiety in me. And it's so interesting because I know you've traveled to so many countries, so I'm interested to hear if you have any thoughts about it. But so I was like, oh, we're going, for a week in Mexico, and I'm thinking everybody else goes to Mexico, like her aunt goes to Mexico, I know people from Mexico, and then she's been watching social media, and people are dying in Mexico, people are getting kidnapped in Mexico, like all these things that perhaps happen in third world countries more often than we would like to know. And so then she's like, well, I don't know, maybe we should just cancel it because I don't really feel safe about it. So the fear that came up for me on the question was, traveling afar with someone else and my actions or the lack thereof impact their well-being and safety. Because I was like, I talked to all these people at work who go places all the time across the country. Everybody says it's fine. It's just too hyped up. And then I was dreaming about it, and I thought, yeah, well, what happens if I get into like a sideways situation, and because I said we should go and it was going to be safe, suddenly it's not, and now you're never going to travel again because you're like, no way, dude. So that's my other fear, is like just it kind of builds on top of the first one. I don't want to get stuck somewhere, but it adds on to it that I don't want to feel safe finally and then have somebody else get stuck because I thought it was going to be fine. So
Yeah, I'd say for the majority of the long car rides, and I'm going to define long as 100 miles or more, so an hour and a half or more, in the last decade, the night before I'll wake up to go to the bathroom and I'll have like this really intense, quick thought about, we're going to get in an accident if we go on this thing.
Oh, wow.
And I've never not gone because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so happy that I have gone, because the first time that I don't go and nothing, and I'm safe, that's complete affirmation that I'll probably succumb to that thought again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to limit my life.
Yeah.
And it's easy to say for myself, but what your concern is, you're bringing somebody else into the fray, and you're responsible for them.
Yeah.
And where does that leave you?
Well,
Yeah,
I found myself, I was like, that's ridiculous. Everybody goes, and then it's like, I started thinking about it. I was like, I mean, sure, that may be ridiculous in my mind, but there's always that what if. And I don't usually get stuck on what ifs, but that one really got me.
Where are you going in Mexico?
Puerto Vallarta.
So a very popular tourist destination.
One of the
you're
most,
not going off into the hills by yourself.
No.
So, I mean, my quick response is you're going to be in a place that's very well populated. And as long as you don't make unsafe choices, especially once the sun goes down,
you'll be fine.
I think, yeah, that's...
I mean, we're not leaving the resort. Like, now I've made all the, I mean, everybody was like, don't leave the resort, whatever. And I get it. Like, it's, it's not your town, and people, of other countries don't exactly look at Americans all the time. It's like, oh, those guys are great. So, and then I talked to a bunch of people at work that travel all the time, even some people from Mexico from there. And they were like, look, man, if your gut tells you don't do it, then just don't do it. It's just common sense. Like, oh, we shouldn't go over there to that dark alley because that seems sketchy. Like, don't go over there. So,
Yeah, but how far do you play that down? Because if your gut's telling you not to go to Mexico, so...
Right, yeah. Well, and then you're,
that's
you're there,
interesting
and
too.
it's an all-inclusive resort, and you're just like hanging out on the beach and drinking some Mai Tais, and then before you know it, like all my defenses are down, and so so it's gonna be weird to navigate it, but I'm gonna do my best. So as of this recording, we're still planning on going. So
I just think once we stop doing stuff, we're never gonna do it again. Like they say in snowboarding, if you're trying a trick and you fall hard, you have to get up and try that trick again, because the more time between that fall when you try it again, the less likely you are to try that trick ever again. As the more time goes by.
Absolutely. Yeah, the fear grows in the separation, right?
Going back to what you're talking about, your father, how long ago was it that your father passed?
January 2nd.
So a couple months. I was debating one of my, what are you scared of, is one of the things that I'm scared of is somebody in my life passing without me having expressed to them how I truly feel about them.
Yeah.
And it's hard to continuously express how you feel. It's hard. Let me rephrase that. It's hard for me to continuously express how I feel to all of my friends and family all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like I want to be quote unquote in good standing with everyone in case something catastrophic were to happen to me or them. That's something I'm scared of, is that if for some reason I'm not in good standing with someone that I love and I haven't expressed to them truly how I feel and something happens, how that's going to manifest. So
well, do you feel like you have to have constant reaffirmation to feel like you're in good standing? Or do you mean somebody that I know I'm not in good standing with? Like, I need to clear that up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the last person that I thought I wasn't in good standing with of everyone in my past,
Mm-hmm.
I reconnected with the last 2 weeks.
Oh, sweet.
And this podcast is a big part of that. Like, I get on this microphone each week and I say, hey, this is the type of person I'm trying to be. And if I'm not actually living that out, then what good is it?
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I texted a friend and reconnected, and he
Awesome.
was incredibly gracious and grateful for my correspondence, which was really special to me. Really
There's some
cool.
healing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it wasn't that we had any disagreements. It's just that we lost touch, and the reasons why we lost touch, the perspective we had was very different. I thought we lost touch for this reason. He thought we lost touch for this reason. And yeah.
You never got it together. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if I
Yeah.
ever told you that situation happened to me with my dad. Like, I was keeping myself busy to do things, and I didn't realize how close to death he actually was. And he was, an hour and a half away. And I was working on something with Jocelyn's brother, some plumbing, some nonsense now in hindsight. I'm like, what was I even thinking about? Why was I even doing that? And then she came out. I was in the garage going through some tools or something. And she's like, hey. And I was like, what? She's like, your dad died. And I remember thinking at that exact moment, this is exactly what it feels like when people say, I didn't have the chance to say what I had to say. But yeah.
And shortly after that, you shared with me a number of things, but one of the things that you shared with me that stuck with me, and I think will always stay with me, is that you've learned that grief, quote me or tell me if this is off, but I think what you shared with me was grief is having love and nowhere to put it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I thought that was
that
was really insightful.
Yeah, it's like no way to nowhere to share it, no way to like get it out, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Number 5.
So I thought number 4 might go the way it just went. So I chose number 5 so we could finish with a happy ending.
Well, we'll see about that.
I'm writing the questions down and I'm like, wow, this is really bleak. This is really dismal conversation. Nobody's going to listen to this and be lifted up. But hopefully the expectation for number 5 isn't too high right now. But
let's see it.
Number 5. Name a specific aspect of your current life that you will one day look back upon with nostalgic fondness. That's a pretty good linkage of words for me.
Yeah, that was good.
I almost sound like I know what I'm doing with that.
Are you an English teacher or creative writing? What are you doing over there?
Fitness, baby.
Not
the most important subject. Without your health, it don't matter how well you read or write.
Equally as creative. So can you restate? This is the only one I didn't write the question down when I put the answer.
Name a specific aspect of your current life that you will one day look back upon with nostalgic fondness.
Yes. I can go, you can go. You choose.
Mine's pretty quick.
Get it.
I'll go. As I've shared multiple times with you, Todd, that as I'm getting older, I'm getting more neurotic about cluttered space, cluttered brain, organized space, organized brain. And it's important for me, or becoming more important for me, that the physical space that I spend time is not cluttered. And I have a 7-year-old, and she has more toys than she should. She has more toys than I am happy about. She has more toys than I even want to admit. And the toys around the house drives me crazy. I put lines down on the floor. Toys can live over here, but they can't go over here. This is a play zone. This is not a play zone. If the toy is left in an area that's not a play zone, the toy will get lost.
It's pretty rigid.
And I find myself frustrated when I walk into a room and I just want to relax, and it's filled with, it's not even just her toys. Like, she just takes stuff out, like she'll take out Jen's craft stuff, or she'll take out art stuff or whatever. And there's just, wherever she goes, she just leaves a trail of stuff behind her. And she's just so happy all day long just to be doing the things that she's done. And obviously she's an only child, and she self-entertains like no one you've ever met. She doesn't require any maintenance. She's just so happy to be home and to be with us and to be doing the things that she's doing. And I'm so grateful for all that. And the toys drive me crazy. And I think at some point I'll look back at my life and be like, what would I give to have a 7-year-old back in this house with toys littered all over the place?
I've heard that. I've heard you'll miss the pitter patter of little feet. And let me tell you
yes.
what. I don't.
Oh, man.
Because the grandkids come and I'm like, no, I don't miss this at all, actually. So there's that. Combine that with the dog situation.
I have found myself thinking like, oh man, at some point, like, I'm not going to have to pick up after other people, and that'll be nice. But I'll look back on this time with an incredible level of fondness because it is awesome right now. There's just friggin' toys everywhere.
Uh, be careful what you wish for on that one. Mine is, God, it's so funny how similar we are in that aspect of our lives. It's nuts. When I thought about this, and obviously it was because the one right before me, the one right before kind of could have seeped down onto the page into my answer to this one, but it's the ability to shift and the results which come from changes in all of the things that I hold in high regard. So my diet, for example, my mindset, my exercise, like when I think about at the point where I watched my parents begin to fail, I noticed, and I think I shared this with you, everybody before, is um, I noticed it was a very surreal point in my life to notice that the things that you surround yourself with are just stuff, and they really have no utility or efficacy in the things from that point on. So it's like, oh, we don't need all these photographs or plants or nothing like that because we have to worry about going to sleep and going to the bathroom. Like those things cut down on all the stuff you actually have to have. So
Right.
like when you
Huh.
go for a long run and you're like, oh, this is great. I'm, mile 15. And then you're like, I won't be able to do this forever. And I think that those will be some of the points where I look back and like, yeah, there was a time when I could just get up and go run for as long as I wanted, but I can't do that anymore. So I think it's the nostalgia in what I've lost, which is an interesting spin on it, but kind of the same as
Huh.
yours. Yeah. And then I wrote down also, and not as a positive ego stroke for you, but I think sharing with things with you in this podcast is another one because it's like such a different side of me that most people never see that I'm just like, yeah, like that was really cool. Like we talked about all kinds of weird things that people are
Yeah.
like, hey, I heard you on the podcast. It's like, wow, that how many people say that? And that never happens to a guy like me. So yeah, thankful
Yeah.
for that too. But
Yeah. I'm still not used to like, I'll walk into school and several of my colleagues will say, "Hey, I started my day with your voice." I'm like,
isn't that
that's just,
weird?
yeah. But I'm so psyched that I have the opportunity to share all these cool things that I'm learning.
Yeah, it's
And
weird.
there's at least one person out there that's saying, "Oh, I'll learn this with you."
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's surreal. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
my number 5.
Cool. Well, we
Yeah.
didn't do so great staying to our 5 minutes, but I thought it was some awesome
Yeah.
back and forth fodder, as you call it,
Fodder.
to discuss
Yeah,
these
those are good
topics.
ones. When I saw them, I was like,
Uh,
"Ooh, this one's gonna get crazy." So, yeah, that was good.
awesome.
Anyways,
Well, thanks for doing your homework this time.
yeah, sometimes it happens. Uh,
For all the listeners out there, thank you so very much. We appreciate your ears. We thank you for your time. We are incredibly grateful for your attention. On behalf of my co host and friend, Todd, we are the School and Struggle Podcast, and we are out.
See you.